I guess. I mean, when I'm president, there won't be any schools left. Let me tell you. These
Wait, for real?
reptilian
Oh,
controllers.
hell yeah.
So yeah, we only have so much time. Okay, Eric. Realistically, things are not getting better, so they're actually getting a lot worse. And anything can happen. Yeah. You got to get outside of your own head because there's a lot going on that you don't see. You only see what you're doing, and you don't see what the rest of the world is doing, especially the world controllers. So this is where, I will refer to some of Phil's experiences and yours also.
Phil.
That is that, yes, remember Phil saw giant robots over the city, etc.
Phil sees all kinds of things.
A lot of people see all kinds of things. That's true. I get it. So, yeah. So
I saw a rat the other day.
Was it a politician?
That's great, dude. Was it a politician?
What? No, it's a rat.
These days?
Oh, it's a rat. Okay.
Wait, are politicians rat people?
Well, you never know. So again, maybe you're seeing things. Okay, Eric. So let's see. You went first last time, Eric, didn't you? So let's do Phil first time this time. So.
All right. So this dream was actually last night. I've been a little sick recently, so I guess that kind of worked its way into the dream. This one I was already walking kind of down it felt like kind of like a school hallway of some sort with just lockers on either side. There's kind of like a school that looks like for like younger kids. The lockers aren't that big. They're maybe up to like 4 feet high with a little tiny cubicle thing above it, where there's a button inside to pop them open. But the hallway was really dark. Had a kind of like tan tile floor, just kind of incandescent, kind of like light bulbs instead of usually you'd see fluorescent lights, but these are like incandescent bulbs instead, just kind of spanning down the hallway. And occasionally you'd have slightly lighter areas, but it was still overall dark. And the occasional flickering light. As far as I could tell, the hallway went on as far as I could visibly see. I don't understand why I was here, but I'm just walking down this endless hallway. Occasionally I would pass a door. My assumption at this point is like that's a door into a classroom. I had this overall feeling that it was night out. I think it's just because of the darkness. There's no one else around. There weren't noises, anything. The school didn't really look abandoned or anything. Just kind of just empty. So as I'm walking down, I would occasionally hear some noises off in the distance, sometimes in front of me, sometimes behind me. I feel a little scared, a little extra alert at this point, kind of unsure of exactly what those noises are. Is it just mechanical noises? Is it just something settling, something falling, or is it something else that's maybe in the building with me or potentially stalking me? I'm not sure at this point. Well, I'm walking on down, and I come up to another classroom that's on my right side, and I hear giggling. Just little kids giggling, just a couple of them. So I walk up to the door, and the window on the door is a little bit too high just to see in. But if I get up on my tippy toes, which in this case I was trying to, just kind of peer in and see what's going on. And I'm noticing there's a little bit of light in this room, unlike any of the others. But it's very faint, very choppy kind of looking. And it wasn't really foggy inside the room. It was like visually staticky. Just ever so slightly, as if you're looking at static on like an old TV. But I don't see anything in there. There's no one running around, and when I'm looking in, I no longer hear the kids' laughter. There are a few desks, but they're all pushed together into the center of the room, just pushed up against each other in no particular order, as if they were just shoved in place real quick. There looks like some writing on the old school chalkboard in there. None of the words were really making sense, but above the chalkboard, I remember when I was in grade school, they would have, like, teacher would customize their classroom with like little banners and stuff like that along the the walls and along the top of the chalkboard. But above the top of the chalkboard, there was kind of one of those little cutout kind of banner things with shapes and stuff on it and turtles. Just nothing particular about them, just normal looking turtles, cartoonish ones. After kind of staring into the window for a bit, I didn't see anything move. I kind of wanted to enter the room. I had this kind of driving force as if I needed to or wanted to, but I resisted. I mean, the staticky look inside the room, just, it wasn't really a thought going through my head. It was more kind of an instinct of, don't go there. Just don't do it. So I decided to kind of go with that weird gut instinct and walk away from the classroom. I get a couple more doors down and I hear a loud thump slam behind me. I stop. I'm kind of have that shocking lightning static sensation up my spine because it scared me, and I turn around real fast. And I don't have any flashlight, and there's some minor lighting in the hallways here and there, and I'm just staring off into barely lit darkness. Don't see anything. So I turn back around and start walking the way I was, but I keep looking back over my shoulder occasionally. I get about another door down, which these doors are probably like 50 feet apart, so like this is a really long hallway, and I hear this kind of like dragging, scraping. It sounded like a jagged metal piece being dragged along the floor, but more reverberating of some sort. And I could feel it in my chest. Like the reverberation was just echoing down the hallway, and it was like, it felt like it was physically slamming into me. And I'm looking back to where I came from, and from the same classroom that I checked out, and I'm pretty sure heard the thumpings for just not too long before this. I see a kind of like a beam of light coming from the door as the door slowly opens, because the hallway was darker there than what it was in the classroom, which to me, that was the classroom door opening slowly. And next thing I hear is just kind of like warbling, kind of weird noise combined with like, almost like a scream, but a scream that's kind of lost in a kind of a staticky. I don't know if you ever seen Poltergeist, the movie, the original one, where like the voices are coming through the static TV. It was kind of like that screaming, and I noticed that the air around that door started becoming distorted. And what I realized is what I was seeing was kind of like staticiness inside the classroom, just kind of spilling forth into the hallway. Not really fast. It was kind of like a gentle, slow rolling fog, just kind of rolling out into the hallway, hitting the wall across from the door, and just kind of like billowing and towards me and back the way I came from, as if it was, there was enough volume coming out that's just spilling out. I start to walk away faster because it's not moving quick by any means, and I could just keep walking at a normal pace and still easily keep ahead of it. But still, I'm not going to stick around for it. I had that gut instinct that, hey, don't enter that classroom. And now this weird stuff I see in there spilling out into the hallway and slowly making its way towards me. So I continue down the hallway, occasionally looking over my shoulder. And far up ahead of me, the direction I've been walking, I see a figure, a humanoid-like figure. I can't make out what it is, but it's definitely humanoid. So, I mean, at this point, I didn't have much of a choice but to continue going forward, because I wasn't going to go back towards that staticky stuff. I didn't know what it was. Sure, it looked like there's some other rooms I could duck into, but if it was able to open or push open that one door, who's to say wasn't going to be able to do it into, if I ducked into one of these classrooms, and where am I going to go? I'm stuck in place and I'm screwed. So I just continue kind of a little bit more briskly walking forward, and there's still that figure off in the distance. And at this point, I'm still looking behind me, and I'm noticing that the static is picking up its pace, as if where it's billowing forth from the room, the rate at which it's doing that's picking up faster and faster. And the more that happens, the more flickery the lights in the hallway get. So at this point, I'm starting to get a little nervous. Anxiety is probably the best way to put it, starting to set in, because I'm not entirely sure what to do. Stuff coming from behind me, and there's this weird person, I'm hoping is a person, in the only direction I can go. So I continue on, and I'm looking back over my shoulder, then look back in front of me where I'm going, and suddenly there's no one there up ahead. It's just empty hallway. This actually made me more nervous, because at least before I could see who or whatever it was, but now it's gone suddenly. Well, I really can't stop, because the staticky fog stuff is picking up pace ever so slowly. It's getting faster and faster, and I have to start going faster myself. So as I'm going, the figure just appears again off in front of me, just flashes into existence, and this time I'm noticing it's a woman. Usually I don't see women in my dreams for some reason, and as I'm continuing on down, I'm noticing that this woman's kind of wearing, I don't know, she's like wearing something white. It was kind of like not a white dress. It's almost like a gown of some sort. It's probably the best way I can put it. And her arms are they're sticking out some, but kind of like out to the side. And I'm not entirely sure what she's doing or what she means by that. But I don't feel threatened. So I still continue, and as I get closer, I'm noticing that her arms are kind of out to her side with her palms facing me, kind of like at a 45 degrees away from her hip. And palms facing me, fingers wide open, almost kind of like accepting me. It's like, hey, you should keep coming. As I'm getting closer to her, I'm noticing more that she's kind of like glowing. She's her dress is white, but kind of like with a bluish hue, and her opened hands kind of like go off to the side, kind of like gesturing, go this way, and it's a right turn up ahead into another room. So as I get closer to her, she just kind of, the closer I start getting from this point, she starts fading out of existence, until that she's not there anymore. And by the time I get to that door, she's no longer there when I get to that door, and the door to the specific room is open on its own. So I go ahead and meander my way in there. The floor pattern changes, and it's kind of like the tile looks like tortoise shell pattern type thing. They're not shells. They're definitely tile, but they kind of have that pattern to it. And there's another doorway in here. And then as I fully enter the doorway, I hear that scraping kind of jagged metal noise again coming from the hallway from the direction I came from, and that static kind of was moving from. And I decide to peek back out down that way just to see, and I'm noticing that it has dramatically picked up and was kind of oscillating with I don't know, it was like swirls, and it almost looked like some faces forming together, and just this loud wailing noise began to occur. And before I ducked back into the room, it almost looked like there was like a reptilian face within the kind of like static forming the closer it got. And the closer it got, the faster it was moving. And by the time I was able to dart back into the room, it had moved hundreds of feet within seconds at this point. And I slammed the door right as it got there. And the door thudded and kind of warped and rippled as if it was kind of like losing like molecular cohesion and just about to melt away, and started bending and bowing inwards. And all the while I hear the jagged, sharp metal scraping and clanking on the outside the door, and that loud wailing, screaming noise. It's just something very, very demonic about it, but the door's holding at bay. And I know if I didn't go into this room and it continued on down instead of doing what this lady kind of pointed me to go into here, there's no, the thing would easily have caught up to me within minutes from that point. So whatever happened, that saved me. And I back away from the door and then just start running for the other one. This door's kind of like an archway, double doors. Really, it's kind of like a burgundy color double door, old fashioned that you'd see on a really old home. Heavy duty woods, very intrinsic designs and patterns in it. I really couldn't make out what anything was saying, but that lady's face was occasionally in certain areas on the kind of archway above it, with her arms wide out, kind of in a pointing pattern as a steeple on top of the doorway. As I get to the doorway, there's a loud slam, bash, crash in behind me. And the staticky fog stuff came roaring through the door, billowing, shooting the door across the room. It slams against the wall, cracking the window. There were some papers and stuff on some desks in this room, but at this point they're burling around all over the place. And I make a mad dash to the doorway in this room, and the doors slam shut on their own, with the staticky reptilian like thing like inches behind me. At this point, I don't even hear the scraping, the wailing, or anything, just complete silence. I don't know if it's because it's still there, and the doors are just that strong, or it just disappears at this point. I feel like I have adrenaline rushing at this point, but I feel safe. And at this point, I start to wake up, but all the while I'm thinking about this lady who directed me towards safety in this side room. And if it wasn't for that, whatever that was coming down the hallway, for sure would have gotten me. And that is the end of my dream.